So good afternoon everyone who has assembled here. हम आज एक छोटा सा रिकैप के साथ शुरू करेंगे. पिछले सप्ताह जो हमने पढ़ा था उसके टेक अवेज थोड़ा देखेंगे, उसके बाद आज के सेशन पे जाएंगे. Reading the chapter Heart versus Mind made me reflect deeply on the responsibilities of a teacher. The chapter beautifully shows that every child carries emotions, fears, dreams, and struggles that are not always visible. As a teacher, I believe that before connecting a student's behavior, I must first understand the reason behind it. As Brinda ma'am said, young children need emotional security more than strict discipline. If a child cries, becomes silent, or behaves differently, I would patiently listen, comfort them, and make them feel safe rather than scold them. A classroom should be a place where children feel accepted, respected, and confident to express themselves. A student's emotional well being is the foundation of meaningful learning. At the same time, senior students need guidance, trust, and motivation as they face academic pressure, peer influence, and personal challenges. Instead of judging them for their mistakes as a pastoral guide, I would encourage open conversations, appreciate their efforts, help them set realistic goals, and remind them that failures are opportunities to learn. The title, Heart versus Mind, reminds me that a good teacher should never choose one over the other. The heart teaches us to be kind, compassionate, and understanding, while the mind helps us remain fair, responsible, and thoughtful in our decisions. A balance of both qualities enables a teacher to create a positive learning environment where students not only achieve academic success, but also grow into confident, responsible, and emotionally strong individuals. This chapter has strengthened my belief that the greatest achievement of a teacher is not producing high scores, but touching students' lives with empathy, patience, and genuine care. This was by Rekha Sharma. Rekha Sharma, thank you. You are very diligent in sending us reflections every week. Thanks for thinking about what we have read, reflecting upon it, and writing back to us. We have another reflection, which is by Sangeeta Singh. Sangeeta, are you here in the group? Are you present today? If you're present, I would like you to read your own reflection. Are you there? Sneha, can you see Sangeeta's name?
No, ma'am.
No? All right, then, Sneha, read, please. Would you like to read it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
As I read this part of Heart versus Mind, I was reminded that adolescence is one of the most sensitive phases of a student's life. As an academic head and an English teacher, I often observe that students need not to only academic guidance but also emotional support, understanding, and someone who listens to them without judgment. What impressed me the most was Mathur's approach of understanding her students before correcting them. She looked beyond their behavior and recognized their emotions, fears, and hidden potential. This reflects the true essence of education that every child deserves empathy, trust, and an opportunity to grow. In my experience, students perform their best when they feel valued and emotionally secure. Meaningful conversations, engagement, and a positive teacher student relationship often create a greater impact than mere classroom instructions. This chapter also reminds us that when teachers and parents work together with patience and understanding, children develop the confidence to make decisions. For me, education is not only about academic excellence but also about nurturing emotionally strong, responsible, and compassionate individuals. Heart versus mind beautifully reinforces the belief that before shaping a student's mind, we must first connect with their heart. This is by
Thank you, Sneha, for reading that. And thank you, Sangeeta, for your reflection and for your feedback. We have a few other takeaways, I think, before we start. Is there one more reflection here? This is by Sunbeam
Oh,
Grameen
yeah, this is
School.
for good school.
This is for good schools. All right. So let's go on to the main reading session. Sneha, please display the book. Right. Thank you. I do not know why this picture of mine is coming over the text. However, you can manage that, I suppose. Good afternoon, everybody, once again. I hope we have no new people who are not aware of the book, but if there are, we are reading a book called Wanted Backbencher, Last Ranker Teacher. This is about a non-teacher called Roma who decided to teach in a school for a year for a very selfish reason of her own because she wanted a certificate from the school that she can deal with children. तो हम ये किताब काफी दिनों से पढ़ रहे हैं. जो चैप्टर हम पढ़ रहे हैं उसका शीर्षक है हार्ट वर्सेस माइंड. दिल और दिमाग में जो हमेशा ही कुछ न कुछ डायलेमास चलते रहते हैं, उसी के बारे में ये चैप्टर है. और हम अभी पढ़कर देखेंगे कि पिछले सप्ताह जहां पे हमने छोड़ा था उसी इवेंट का क्या नतीजा है. अभी देखेंगे इसे. Actually, we have been in a relationship for the past 6 months. And if you all remember, this is about two children who were caught by a teacher and then punished. And how is the teacher dealing with these two children is what this chapter is going to deal with. And so they were telling her about what they were doing alone on the terrace, and Roma is counseling them. Let's see what she does here. Sneha, you will have to move this picture so that I can see the text, or move the text. Maybe you'll have to reduce the size of the font. I don't know why this picture is in between and I cannot see the text.
Mama, I think it's not from my side.
I can't move it from here either. Let's see. Wait, what I can do is I can take my own text and read from that. Shall I do that? Sorry, everybody, for the small glitches today.
Mom, is it fine now? Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, Sneha. I can hear you. Okay, I'm going to read from my text. We start at Roma, who had been, just a minute. Do you know what is the page it is on? 68. 160. নিও এটা এখান থেকে সরানো যাবে? This thing is coming right on the text. Thank you. Okay, we've sorted that problem. So I'll start reading again. Sorry for all the glitches. Roma, who had been sipping water, put the glass down as she choked and spluttered at the words. She wiped the water on her chin with a tissue as she tried to comprehend teen emotions. We weren't like this when we were teenagers, she thought. So what is wrong now? We are perfect for each other, Arjun said. I cannot meet you every time you call, Arjun. You don't have a mom at home watching you the whole time like mine, who follows me like a mighty shadow. She is already very suspicious. And after Sunita ma'am spoke to my parents today, the movie of my life will change to black and white. They won't even let me attend my music and classical dance classes anymore, Rakhi said tearfully. In case you have forgotten, I have a grandmom at home instead with big eyes and ears. She literally hangs over me when I call you. But I have never let that scare me off, have I? And am I not in, please turn the page, Sneha. Am I not in trouble too? My father will take my phone away and pull me out of football coaching classes, Arjun answered angrily. Why are you complicating your lives like this? Isn't being friends easier? Roma reasoned, looking for consensus from both. Yes, I agreed to meet Arjun on the terrace today because I wanted to put an end to all this. I cannot deal with all the pressure this relationship is putting on me, with the constant fear of a breakup. And I cannot get into the first phase of making out just because it's been 6 months, Raki said. Wait, wait. What's this first phase of making out? Roma asked, bewildered. Most of our friends are already in the second phase, and they even haven't completed 3 months in their relationships. But I have never pressurized you, have I? Arjun asked Raki aggressively. What are these phases? Roma asked again, a hollow feeling in the pit of her stomach. You explain it to her, Arjun told Raki edgily. Miss Roma, I don't know how to tell you. It's kind of personal. Do you really want to know? Raki asked nervously. Yes, I do, Roma answered firmly. Well, it's liberties couples take physically, which define each phase, Raki explained. And how many phases are there? Roma asked, unable to believe what she was hearing. Both Rakhi and Arjun were so distressed that they didn't realize how much they were revealing in front of their teacher. Fourth is the last phase, Rakhi answered. Yes, there is nothing after that, Arjun explained further, as if he was talking about something as routine as the last course of dinner. I seriously advise you to end everything right now and leave this cabin as friends. Believe me, there is nothing as uncomplicated and as beautiful as friendship. Don't muddle your life. Don't let friends decide what's good and right for you, said Roma. I seriously think that what Miss Roma is saying makes sense, Rakhi said, looking at Arjun for concurrence. Then Arjun asked Roma in a breaking voice, everyone has the right to decide what is good and right for them, don't you think? Like my father thought it was good for the family when he separated from mom. And my mom thought it right to go away with Ria and marry someone else. And now you think that it is good and right that Raki and I become friends. But what about me? What about my feelings? What about what I want? Has anyone thought I might need someone too? Roma closed her eyes for a moment to compose herself. Arjun's painful words seemed to stab at her heart. I'm so sorry, Arjun. Ria is, she asked gently. I know you mean well. Miss Ria is my baby sister. I just get to see her during the Christmas holidays when I spend a week with mom and her new family. Anyways, will you be meeting our parents or will Sumita ma'am? Arjun asked, hiding his apprehensions behind a brave facade. He didn't want his football classes to stop. If his father met Sumita ma'am, his freedom would surely be taken away. Football would just be the first in a long list. If you promise me you will seriously work on being friends, I will meet your parents and assure them everything is under control, Roma offered, deliverance in exchange for their promise. Friendship, they chorused, Arjun reluctantly and Rakhi apologetically. I will try and do my best in this situation, Roma promised. After Arjun and Rakhi had left, Roma called the reception, requesting Rupali to send the parents straight to Uttara's cabin. She didn't want Arjun and Rakhi meeting them before she had spoken with them. Roma recalled what it had been like to be in class 10 and how she had felt when a boy had shown interest in her for the first time. Her first love letter had come when she was 16. She remembered even today how it had come in a thick, pale yellow envelope with two local stamps delivered by the postman. One letter came every week without fail. Every afternoon, once she came home from school, she would eagerly stand on her toes to peek into the red letter box to see if the letter had been delivered. The long sheets containing so much love had been torn out of a science notebook. Roma would eagerly pull out those neatly folded sheets from the envelope and sit in seclusion to read every word written by the unknown admirer who claimed to be in love with her. Although she never found out who had been writing to her, she had kept the entire bunch of letters behind her textbooks because she loved reading what he had penned about her. She read them again and again. He made her feel like the most beautiful girl in the world. Looking back, she felt those letters had elevated her low self esteem. Poor Roma will have to work hard to look for a husband, unlike her lovely cousins, her aunts would say. Don't play so much basketball. You will grow taller and you won't find a boy tall enough, another had sighed. Leave these shades of orange and pink to your fair cousins. You're too dark in them. These remarks had suddenly ceased to matter because of those letters. Roma tried to connect those letters with Rakhi's situation. Rakhi worked very hard to be like Simi and Supriya. Her self confidence was so low, she would resort to anything for acceptance. A relationship with Arjun gave her the image of being like them. But what she hadn't anticipated was the complications that arose from such a relationship. May we come in, Miss Roma? A short, dark, and very pretty woman knocked, peeping into the cabin. Rakhi's mother. Roma smiled at the striking similarity between the mother and daughter. Please come in, Mrs. Vishwanathan, Roma said, inviting her in. A tall man in a dark suit followed and introduced himself as Arjun's father. They sat down on the chairs so recently occupied by their children, and Roma thought about the irony. It had been a challenge to make Arjun and Rakhi realize and accept their mistake. And now, in the same place, it was going to be a challenge to justify the situation to their parents so they understood their teenagers better. Roma wished Uttara had been in school to deal with the situation. Miss Roma, it is unfortunate that we are here to discuss such an embarrassing situation with you. Mrs. Vishwanathan spoke first. Yes, we would like to apologize on behalf of our children for what they have done. It is absolutely shameful, and we won't question the school's decision to punish them in whatever way you think appropriate. Arjun's father shook his head in humiliation. I agree with Mr. Rana, Rakhi's mother said. Mrs. Vishwanathan, we met last at the open house, but I don't remember meeting you, Mr. Rana. Arjun said you were away on business. Am I right? Roma asked. Yes, I was away for an important business meeting in Indonesia and couldn't make it for the open house. I met the class coordinator, Mrs. Chaudhary, after the first weekly test to discuss Arjun's performance. I don't think you had joined the school then, Mr. Rana answered. No, I joined 2 months later. So, what do you both think would be the most suitable punishment? Roma asked, trying to see it from their point of view. I know what punishment I am going to give my daughter. I will not be sending her to her music and dance classes anymore. She has taken advantage of the privileges we have given her out of love. said Mrs. Vishwanathan, anger and sadness fighting for prominence in her voice and her heart. I agree with you, Mrs. Vishwanathan. It is unconditional love we have given them, which has spoilt them. I will take Arjun's phone away and pull him out of his football classes, Mr. Rana said, to Roma's secret amusement. Arjun and Rakhi's forebodings had been spot on. And do you think that by punishing them in this way, we will make them realize their mistake? Reform them? Asked Roma. Well, I'm not sure about that, but there is no doubt that these kids are no longer the same as they were a few years ago, Mr. Rana replied sadly. So we can see here how very, very maturely Roma has dealt with both the children, the teenagers, and now in the same manner she is dealing with the parents. वो इन दोनों बच्चों के साथ बात कर चुकी हैं, उनको समझा चुकी हैं, उनसे एक अग्रीमेंट उन्होंने कर लिया है और अब उन दोनों बच्चों के पेरेंट्स के साथ वो बात करते हुए फिर से एक समझदार मैच्योर टीचर की तरह ही बात कर रही हैं. तो वो क्या सोल्यूशन देती है, क्योंकि दोनों पेरेंट्स ने उसी तरह से रिएक्ट किया जिस तरह से बच्चों ने कहा था कि वो रिएक्ट करेंगे. राखी ने कहा था कि मेरे डांस और म्यूजिक क्लासेस बंद हो जाएगा, मेरा फ्रीडम कट जाएगा, और अर्जुन को यही डर था कि उसके फुटबॉल के क्लासेस बंद हो जाएंगे, और वही हुआ अभी. तो अब रोमा इनके साथ कैसे डील करती हैं? There was a time when Rakhi told me everything. She was my baby who wouldn't stay a day without me. And now look what she has become. All she wants to do is to talk to her friends. There are so many secrets in her life now. From a student who never scored less than 90%, she is now happy getting 70, Rakhi's mother lamented. Mrs. Vishwanathan, we know what lies behind all this, don't we? Their friends make decisions for them now, and they are confident, and they are their confidence. Our children don't need us anymore, other than to pay, Arjun's father said bitterly, his sorrow and disappointment plain to see. Mr. Rana and Mrs. Vishwanathan, studies on teenagers show that from the age of 14 or 15, friendships change in purpose, focus, and function. This social development occurs along with their cognitive, emotional, physical, and personality growth. Your children are experiencing changes which they share with their peers who are experiencing the same things. They begin to seek in their peer group the security, assurance, safety, and a sense of well being that they previously experienced with you. This is the reason for the distance which has suddenly appeared between you and your children, Roma explained. I want you teachers to pay attention to these lines here. This is important for all of us. So, if you see the psychological reason for what is happening to these teenagers, biologically as well as psychologically, is what Roma is explaining to the parents. I know you are trying to answer my agony with a sensitive answer, but what about this other relationship problem? Do they go to school for this or to study? Mrs. Vishwanathan asked Roma fiercely. The more we read, the more we learn the whys of this phase of teenager life. Teenagers are a seething mix of hormones, unrequited love, pressures, and relationships. This phase is confusing for them, schools, and parents. Romantic relationships are very important for teens for many reasons. The teen years are intrinsically when individuals feel less self assured, so having someone care for them makes them feel more confident, Roma explained. Can you hear me now, Rekha? You've sent a message saying my voice is breaking. Can you hear me now? Sneha, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, it's all good.
Okay. But Rakhi is a very self possessed girl and quite confident, Mrs. Vishwanathan argued. Roma caught the barely perceptible note of questioning in her voice. Rakhi has always been in awe of some of the girls in her class and secretly wants to be like them. This could be one of the reasons for the problems she is facing. She was possibly looking for self assurance through a relationship, Roma said, trying to neutralize the situation by showing another dimension. Miss Roma, although I travel a lot, my mother takes very good care of Arjun ever since he was 12 after my divorce. And I don't see any reason why he needs to look for self assurance through a relationship. He is he is a confident boy and has many friends in school as well as in the complex we live in. Mr. Rana said. You can't even imagine how distressed your son is, Mr. Rana. Roma screamed at him in her mind. She wished she had telepathic powers. Mr. Rana, it's not just a matter of self assurance. Some teens have stressed home relationships. In Arjun's case, it is possible he misses his mother or sister and felt that a girlfriend would fill that emptiness. Now, when raging hormones are added to this, the desire to be in a relationship becomes very strong. Roma hoped Mr. Rana would understand how lonely his son was and the possible reason for his attachment to Rakhi. It never it never occurred to me that Arjun was missing his mother or sister or me. He is very fond of his grandmother, Mr. Rana replied, passing a hand through his hair in a harassed way. Are you telling us all teenagers get into relationships for some reason or the other? Mrs. Vishwanathan asked, quite puzzled. No, all teenagers do not get into relationships, Roma replied. Sometimes teenagers who are emotionally pained or insecure for some reason seek refuge in a relationship. These kids spend most of their free time with the person they are infatuated with and shut others out completely, especially their parents. Kids who become participants in relationships neglect important responsibilities so they can spend time with their partners. They bunk classes and chat on WhatsApp and social networking while at home, leaving important tasks undone. Then there are those teenagers who are exploring their physical and emotional development. Teenagers who are similar in personality develop a strong kinship within a group and keep away from romantic attachments. They spend all their time working to excel in academic activities. They are often ridiculed by the others as geeks or nerds because they do nothing but study. But the jeering does not deter them. They find the strength to resist derision and pressure by being together. As teachers, we see them engage in activities like writing, painting, and dramatics apart from the time they spend reading and learning. They also tend to stay away from networking sites like Facebook and Instagram. Each teenager is different, Roma finished. So you really think that since Arjun not having a complete family could be the reason for what he did? Mr. Rana asked challengingly. He felt guilty about creating a situation which could have created a desire in Arjun's life to have a girlfriend. At the same time, he did not have the right to cross the line of civil behavior and punish their parents. Mr. Rana, first let me tell you that Arjun and Rakhi were just talking on the terrace. This is what they told me, and it is very important that as teachers and parents, we give them trust. I agree, Mrs. Vishwanathan said, relieved to hear this after the derogatory remarks on Rakhi's behavior made by Sumita ma'am. Now, Mr. Rana, researchers say that teenage girls get plenty of emotional support from other members of their gender, while boys draw the same emotional support from the opposite gender. It is possible that Arjun was looking for emotional support in a relationship, Roma said. But they are so young to get into complicated relationships with which even adults find challenging. Mrs. Vishwanathan was trying to understand. She always thought of her daughter as a child, and that such situations, I think we've missed a page. Just go back, please, Sneha. Okay. She always thought of her as a child, and that such situations may have to be faced in her college years, not in school. I know what you mean, Mrs. Vishwanathan. Teen years is also about the in love feeling of adolescence. This phase is far more overwhelming and compelling than any other emotional connection teenagers have. The entire experience is overpowering and all consuming. Their whole world revolves around that one person whom they want to spend all their time with. Even their good friends are often set aside. This relationship has cost Rakhi her friendship with Vartikanya and Charmi. She is no longer close to them, Roma said, shaking her head. What about relationship with parents? Aren't we important anymore? Mr. Rana asked. A romantic attachment between teenagers is deeper than anything else, including the connection they once shared with you. To feel so profoundly understood and understanding makes other relationships seem shallower in comparison. This is a truth we have to accept, Mr. Rana, if we don't want to lose them completely, Roma answered sympathetically. Then why are there so many problems if that relationship is all that they care about, Miss Roma? Mrs. Vishwanathan asked in a voice full of pain. Mrs. Vishwanathan, teen experts say the joy of having each other is also occupied with acute anxiety about losing each other. Let's not forget our teenagers are young and immature. Sadly, they try to deal with these conflicting emotional upheavals on their own. This phase of turmoil leads them into alien territory, full of confusing and divergent emotions, which they have to battle with by themselves, like freedom and commitment, trust and suspicion, honesty and deception, innocence and maturity, togetherness and loneliness, along with contentment and sacrifice. Rakhi told Arjun he did not like the way he behaves when she talks to other guys, particularly Jeevan. Roma paused as Mr. Rana finally laughed. He thought his son was so much like he had been in his youth. This unreasonable possessiveness had caused marital strife in his life and ultimately divorce from Sarika. Mrs. Vishwanathan gave him a cold look. Don't you think that as parents we should prohibit such relationships? She asked. As parents, you can try prohibiting the relationship, but in doing so, your opposition and hostility would intensify the attraction you are trying to stop. This is a risk to keep in mind. So, how do you suggest we deal with this situation, Miss Roma? Mr. Rana asked. Talk to your teenagers. They are immature and innocent. While they think they know what is good for them, you will be able to anticipate emotional turmoil long before they feel it. This undeveloped phase of experience and emotion misleads them into, yes, turn the page, please, Neha, into thinking they are in love, when in fact they are infatuated. When the relationship ends, they are depressed and devastated, feeling extremely low in self worth. And that phase has already come in your teenagers' lives, Roma warned, looking at both parents. What about the danger of physical intimacy in such relationships? Mrs. Vishwanathan asked, voicing her secret fear. Teenagers often feel pressure to do things they don't really want to do. Peer pressure works alarmingly in their lives. Counseling and teaching your teenager how to say no and when to leave a situation will help them understand how to deal with being pressured. They will open up only when they are comfortable. So you have to open the doors of communication, Roma replied. Once we go home today, how do you suggest we deal with them? Mr. Rana asked. Don't react the way they anticipate you will. Do the opposite and give them a chance to talk about what happened. This will give the relationship with your child new life. Perhaps you can tell them later, if you are open to advice, that a relationship is a privilege and that education should be the priority right now, Roma suggested quietly. Thank you for everything. I came here today ready for the humiliation the school would dish out. But talking to you has been a revelation and such a relief, Mrs. Vishwanathan smiled. You are welcome. I suggest you seriously work on Rakhi's low self esteem without making it obvious, Roma said. How do you suggest I do that? Rakhi's mother asked worriedly. I am not an expert in this field, and I wish Uttara, our counselor, was here today. But Kimberly Kerberger, author of Teen Love on Relationships, a book for teenagers, urges teens learn from themselves, cultivate their personalities, and find their self esteem before attempting a relationship. You can teach Rakhi that the first love is with the person she sees in the mirror, Roma answered. It has been such a pleasure meeting you, Miss Roma. Now, should I also encourage my son to love the person he sees in the mirror? Mr. Rana asked. Roma and Mrs. Vishwanathan burst out laughing at the light-hearted comment. No one had imagined this meeting would end on such an optimistic note with laughter. I think accepting Arjun as a grown up and respecting his emotions will develop mutual trust. This acceptance will bring him closer to you and unlock the path of reason and communication. Talk to him, Mr. Rana. Spend time with him. This is something I strongly advise. In this context, I would like to show you an animated image of a typical teenager's brain, which unit is effective and overpowering and which almost vestigial and still developing. Tools like magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, and positron emission tomography, that is PET, have helped scientists peek into teen brains. Typically, until the mid 20s, the prefrontal cortex development is still a work in progress. The scan also reveals that different parts of the cortex develop at different rates. This means that in a teen, the area involved with emotional responses is highly sensitive, but it is still developing. This makes them search for novelty and adventure, along with the urge to act impulsively, Roma said. After the parents had left, Roma rushed back to her classes, lined back to back for the entire day, leaving her with no free periods. She fervently hoped the day would remain uneventful because there had been enough drama in the last few hours to last her a lifetime. She couldn't face any more. Just before Roma left for home, Rupali sent her a message in the staff room that Simon Sir wanted to meet her. Apparently, her prayers had not been answered and the drama had not ended for the day. As she left the staff room, Roma saw that Sumita's face wore a smirk which she did not try to conceal. Please sit down, Miss Mathur, Simon said when Roma entered his chamber. Roma did not have to guess the reason she had been called in. The look on Sumita's face had told her, I won't take much of your time. I know you have to take the school bus home in 10 minutes, Simon said brusquely. I'm going to be deep fried, thought Roma, feeling her stomach flutter. If you are under any misconception that your temporary post in school gives you the right to insult senior teachers, you are greatly mistaken, Roma. Don't even think of staying one extra day once your term ends in November. Do you understand? Simon leaned on his elbows, his face harsh. I do, sir, Roma replied. Be calm, she told herself. You took 4 girls to Club Paradise one Saturday evening, didn't you? Simon accused, pointing a finger to her. Oh God, Roma thought as she stared at him aghast. News had travelled, distorting reality. To clear her name, she would have to. Sneha, turn the page, please. To put those kids in trouble. She couldn't do that, no matter what. I have nothing to say, sir, Roma replied, looking down in defeat. Obviously, there is nothing to say. And today, after what Arjun and Rakhi did, you supported them instead of letting an experienced teacher like Miss Sumita deal with such intolerable behavior, Simon said. I have nothing to say on the subject, sir, Roma said again. It is the only phrase Arctic Air taught you as a reply to every question he asked her in rising anger and frustration. When Roma remained silent, he said, Since you don't even have the courtesy to give me an answer, let me make it very clear that you can forget about any recommendation letters from us. You do not deserve to adopt a child. You do not know a thing about children. Go back to Arctic air because serving tea and coffee is what you're meant to do, not this, said Simon, deliberately hitting where it hurt. All right, we shall stop over here for today, leaving a little bit of suspense for the next week, and we'll see how the situation is going to be dealt by Roma. But until here, whatever we read, हमने अभी तक जो भी कुछ पढ़ा इस चैप्टर में, हमने देखा कि इस चैप्टर में हमें बहुत सारी महत्वपूर्ण चीजों के बारे में जानकारी दी गई है कि किस तरह से टीनेजर्स को हैंडल हमने करना चाहिए, किस तरह से उनको समझना चाहिए, किस तरह से उनका जो ब्रेन है वो फिजियोलॉजिकली साइकोलॉजिकली किस तरह से बढ़ता है, किस तरह से अफेक्ट करता है उनके डिसीजंस को, ये हमने देखा इस चैप्टर में। और हमने ये भी देखा कि इस टीचर ने पेरेंट्स को कितने मेच्योर तरीके से हैंडल किया। और फिर आई पॉलिटिक्स की बात, स्टाफ रूम वाली पॉलिटिक्स की बात, जहां इसके सीनियर टीचर सुमिता ने इसके बारे में मैनेजमेंट से कंप्लेन किया और साइमन सर का सामना रोमा को करना पड़ा, जहां पे साइमन सर को जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन मिली थी वो ऑब्वियसली गलत इंफॉर्मेशन मिली थी, और किस तरह से रोमा अब इस सिचुएशन का सामना करेगी। उसका जो मकसद था स्कूल में आकर पढ़ाने का और सर्टिफिकेट लेने का, जिससे कि वो एक बच्चे को, अपने फ्रेंड के एक बच्चे को अडॉप्ट कर पाएगी, वो किस तरह से अब बिगड़ जाता है या नहीं, ये हम देखेंगे आगे चैप्टर्स में आगे पढ़ने के बाद। पर आज हम यहाँ पे रोकेंगे। अगर आप में से कोई भी कुछ भी शेयर करना चाहता है तो प्लीज डू स्विच ऑन योर माइक्स एंड स्पीक. Sneha, if any one of them wants to speak, please make it possible for them to do so. If any one of you wants to say anything on the chapter that we have just read, please do speak. Yes, I can see a hand up. Manjula, आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगी? Manjula, do you want to speak? I can see your hand is raised. And I'm sorry, I saw some chat messages that the voice was breaking a bit. I'm sorry if that happened in between, but there was no way we could. When I checked with Sneha, she said it was all right. But Acha, Manjula's hand is withdrawn. So we will finish here today. And if you have anything to say, you want to share your reflections, and you want to write and tell us what you felt about this chapter, what is it that your takeaway has been, please do write, because I think this was a very, very valuable chapter that we read as teachers, as parents, as people who deal with teenagers. This had valuable information, this particular chapter. So, good afternoon, everybody. Have a nice weekend. I shall meet you again next Saturday at 3:30 p.m.
Good afternoon and Jai Hind, ma'am.
जय हिंद मैम
Thank you, everybody.